Yeah, 1 minute late. Hi, everybody. I'm RJ Ogren, and welcome to Paintings and Stories with RJ Ogren. That's me. And here I am in the semi-dark at the moment. I've got some lights on besides the black light on this painting I'm working on. And I have got some fun things to show you and some funny things to tell you. And I'm going to do some actual shading, some blending of some colors on this figure. Somebody asked about this just a couple of days ago about how to blend the colors together when you're going from a lighter shade to a darker shade. And I explained it to them, but I said, well, if you can watch the show today, because I actually will do it live and hope I don't mess it up. Now, okay. And while everybody is joining, hi everybody. Hey Jamie, it's good to see you again. Blacklight is so much fun. I just love it. Now I've got the light on right here. Turn that off, and you can see I have some bleed because we haven't put in the 2-inch wide shades we want to put in that look like wood in this room, which will work a lot better, and I won't have that light strip up here. Those are just roll down shades at the moment. I got to get my shelves built first, and now we're in blacklight with sunlight behind. Ooh. As you can see, I, of course, posted the picture on this, and inside this umbrella, which in the actual stretch room painting, the top of the umbrella is a pink color, dark shade, and the inside is actually an orange. But I'm going to pick this up and hopefully not make you all seasick, so you can get a closer look. Turn it the right way, RJ. Obviously, everybody knows what that scene is. That was fun to paint because I had to bend the bars and bend the figures a little because of the curvature inside the umbrella, which is convex. I think I got that right. I was not that good in science. Now, get this back in a good position here. Yeah. Move this again. Sorry, stay with me there. I'm trying to block out that. There we go. That strip of light right there. That's better. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to work on this part. I love those pirates in there. Thank you, Jay. Jamie, nice touch. Thank you. And always good to see all of you. Oh, Ken. Hey, Ken. Speaking of Ken, hi, Ken. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Di Pietro. Anyway, Ken and I have touched base as of a couple weeks ago, and I started posting. When I post things on the group sites, I also post on his group site now. And one of the things I want to mention, so I'm going to turn the light on here so I can see a little bit in this light. It's hard to read in the black light. And so anyway, no, Ken's group site is Disney Fun and Games. I want to make sure I get that right. And he has all kinds of neat things on there and neat games to mess with and stuff about Disney. And he thought it would be great, and I love the idea that we would have RJ Walt Disney World Trivia. So each Friday, I will come up with a question about something in the parks at Walt Disney World, and then you all get a chance. There'll be actually a poll. You'll get like 4 or 5 choices to try to guess what is the right answer to what I'm asking about where something is, etc. So if you go to his group site, Disney Fun and Games, you can put in your guess. And then I will, on Monday, the ones who get it right will be announced, or the winning, or not the winning, anyway, the correct answer will be announced. And he does giveaways also on there for things, and we're actually probably going to do a giveaway of one of our books. Or maybe through the year we'll do one for each of the books, including Suzanne's book. If again, if you just joined, I'm R.J. Ogren, the artist. I worked for Disney for years, and my wife and I have written books about Disney. And oh yes, I'm sorry, getting off the track there. Well, after you hear what the correct answer is on Monday with Disney Fun and Games, then I will put in a little description of that particular thing we're talking about and where it is or what it is. So it should be a lot of fun. And you can go back and forth between our groups. So thank you, Ken. Glad to be part of that. And I just found out from Ken today that he lived down in Orlando, actually in Winter Park, which we used to frequent because it was right next door to Maitland where we lived. And he actually worked in Maitland for, I guess, about a year. Small world. Jamie, looking into purchasing wildfire blacklight paint. Yes, it is very expensive. It's very expensive. A gallon of wildfire blacklight paint, which you use in the attractions and in movies, in Peter Pan, Snow White, Haunted Mansion, it runs around $120 a gallon, 140 depending. Yeah, a gallon. Good thing it's thick paint and you mix it with house paints. For this, I'm using actually Blick paints, acrylics that are blacklight acrylic paints for canvas. Yay! And I mix those with regular tube acrylics to get my colors. So this white is not a pure blacklight white. It actually has acrylic white in it also, which changes the value and everything. Now, real quick, next week, Pam Turlow, who wrote Mystical Mouse, who was on before, is going to be a guest on the show unless she has got a gig doing. She does voiceover work in Chicago, so she's going to be on unless she has a gig, which pays. I don't pay. Sorry. And Suzanne, my wife, is writing her blog every week at srogren.blogspot.com. So take a look at those. And if you're wondering, I'm wearing my Bob Ross shirt that Tim and Angela Steppen got for us. Now, I'm going to show you something really cool about this shirt. Back into the black light. And he glows in black light. I'm trying to move around here. Hey, all right. All right, Bob. My wife and I like to watch Stephen Colbert, and a couple nights ago, he was doing an interview, one of his funny interviews with an art therapist. In fact, our middle grandson, Chris, he and his girlfriend Sam are going to be here this weekend at our house, along with our older grandson, Alex, and his girlfriend, Libby. Both of the girls are artists, and actually Sam is studying art therapy in college. She's in her third year right now. But anyway, when he was talking to her, he asked if Bob Ross was an art therapist, and the woman said, no, he's dead. And the look on Colbert's face, it was just this long pause. And he says, did somebody murder him? I just saw him yesterday on the TV. Well, anyway, no, Bob Ross unfortunately died of cancer many years ago. But I have run into people who still think he's alive because the show is always on. I should be so lucky. Anyway, and speaking of blacklight, look at this. Look, my business card. No, this one. My business card, which is actually the painting, that blacklight painting I did part of it on the walls at the Museum of Science and Industry for the treasures of the Walt Disney Archives some years back. I did that for the Disney company, and it glows in blacklight. I love that. And there's our theater company, Bard and the Burbs. Everything glows in the blacklight. Unless you're ready for it, don't drink a Coca-Cola in the blacklight, because it really doesn't look good in a clear glass. You're going to go, what am I drinking? And the same thing, I don't eat them that much anymore. I used to love Rice Krispie treats. And when we were working in blacklight, my wife and she was helping me out when we were doing haunted houses around the country in 3D, and we'd be in the blacklight, and I'd get Rice Krispie treats, and they looked really strange in blacklight too. I went, maybe I shouldn't be eating these. But look, our books glow in the blacklight. And if you haven't read our books, this is about the early decades of Walt Disney World, because we were there actually before the grand opening. And then I ended up as an artist there, and she ended up in entertainment, as Sleepy the Dwarf, and then management. And so they're a lot of fun to read. This one should glow in the blacklight, but it doesn't really. That's my design of fear about the Haunted Mansion and haunted houses. But Suzanne's novel Ribbons glows beautifully in the blacklight. I like that. See, I could sit in blacklight all day, and I got to show you this, because then I'm going to paint this. See if you can really see it glowing. That's, oh, some of you probably have this. It's Captain Hook's sword, and it makes the sound of clanging swords. Why do I have? Well, it's Peter Pan for one, because I love Peter Pan. But actually, this is funny, because it's actually from Pirates of the Caribbean. It's not Peter Pan. I just turned it around and looked, because it's Mickey Mouse as a pirate. So, okay, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, what happens is, because I have injuries from Vietnam and stuff, and I have trouble with my foot sometimes swelling up when I walk a lot. So we'd go to Disney, and I'd walk all over the place, but eventually it would swell up, and I'd have to go in a wheelchair, which I hated. But I have a titanium walking stick, United States Navy walking stick that I use too. And I found that in the wheelchair, people, they try to run you over. They they run right across in front of you when you're coming by. It's like, can you not see me? And so I would stick my walking stick out, coming through. I wave it back and forth, coming through, coming through. It worked pretty good to keep people from falling over my foot. But this one time we went, and I forgot to take my walking stick. So Sandy, our daughter-in-law, she ran into Pirates of the Caribbean and bought me a sword, so I could then go coming through. Okay, that's enough of that. Hey, it's fun. I'm going to get the books out of the way. We don't land on my chocolate chip cookies. I ate a cookie just before. I'm drinking out of a Haunted Mansion Disneyland mug, but sadly, it does not glow in the black light. It's got the 3 hitchhiking ghosts. They sort of glow, but not much. Anyway, all right. All right. So, hi, Tina in England. How are you? Let's see. Jamie left Disney Trivia. Oh, and I did get your name right, Ken. Thank you. I'm scanning real quick here to see if anybody else asked a question. No. So now I'm actually going to paint. I do have a couple other funny things to tell you, but blacklight. Blacklight's so much fun. When you put on 3D glasses, which are digital and they're clear, and I would paint things in the haunted houses in 3D. So, like, say if I painted this figure, I could do her in 3D, and it would look, as you move, it would look like she swivels and faces you no matter where you go. It's a very neat effect. But when you've got a big gallon of that wildfire paint, like on the floor, and it's, say, red, it looks like it's about 2 feet off of the floor. So you go to try to dip your brush in it, you can't judge how far down to put your brush. And I'd always come up either with a brush full of red paint, a big brush, or my hand would be in the paint. So that's always fun. I love being in black light. And black is terrible, regular black paint, because you cannot see where the surface of the black is. Ah, yes. So what I've done here is I did finish painting the cape she has on and the upper part of her dress. And if you're wondering and didn't see this last week, she has a short skirt, which it actually is the top of the skirt she is wearing. But then her legs going down have tights on, and there are images of C-3PO and R2-D2 on those leggings. I love this painting. I'm going to paint the black pearl down in the lagoon in the distance too. So anyway, I painted this, and when you mix the colors, when you're doing black light, and of course, especially when you want it to work in both lights, it's even trickier. So what I would do is I mix the purple color. If you can see that color too much in there, but you can see a little bit of it. There you go. Be careful, I'll pour it in my lap. So I mix that base color, and then there's black paint, which is actual acrylic black paint, tube paint, and then the white, which is the white that I mix, that is blacklight white mixed with titanium white tube acrylics. Let me show you the difference, the brilliance of these two. The big one there, that is right out of the can. That's the really bright white. Almost poured it in my lap. Well, that will be fun. And now I've got it all over my fingers. Yeah. When I was doing haunted houses, I have so much black light paint because you just after a while say, well, the heck, I got on old pants. I just wipe my hands or a brush on my pants. And after using those for a year, different pair, I didn't wear the same ones all the time. I think I could have framed the pants and sold them. Some idiot would buy them. Somebody probably just says, I'd buy them. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you an idiot. So anyway, then I paint the base color, the purple color in there, and then I'd shade in with the white and blend it, and then come back over on this side with black and do that. And I, of course, I've done some of her flesh here. She has a choker material right around her neck right there. And flesh is the hardest one to get because you can get it and it looks perfect in black light, and then you turn the black light off and turn regular light on, and all of a sudden she's orange. So you have to play with it and add a certain amount of not only black light white and of course the red and the yellow to get this pinkish flesh color. Then you had to add acrylic white to it too. And always add your acrylic colors into the black light. If you try to take the, like say if I took the white tube acrylic first and put in here and put a bunch in there and then start adding the blacklight white, I would put a lot of blacklight white in there to get this up to this level. So start with the blacklight paint first and add the acrylic tube acrylic to it. Now, so what I'm going to do is you can see where I painted out, and the reason that is actually tube acrylic white that's on there. And when you're going to paint lighter colors like flesh tones or pinks or whites and reds and yellows, you definitely need to paint the surface in regular white paint first and let it dry. Otherwise, you'll have a heck of a time trying to get that black light paint to cover. And you'll end up painting it over and over and over, and it still is going to bleed through. So even though we're in the dark and it's scary, don't bleed. I laugh at my own stuff. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is show you really quickly here. I'll use a bigger brush. And so I had already put one coat on that, so I'm going to, on that white, what I'm going to do is put the pink, which I mixed with acrylic. I put acrylic, no, do it backwards. I put the black light white in this container, and then I put some black tube acrylic red and some blue to get this color. And then I added in black light colors, red, yellow, and shoot. It's been a long day. I did all this first in black light colors, red, yellow, and white. Then I took tube acrylics in the same colors and started adding them so that when I turn the lights on, I've got this light aimed higher, but this comes out as a pink. See when see that's too bright. But anyway. So when I'm actually painting, and to make it work in both lights, I have to keep switching my light on and off. Now I do have it aimed downward, but on here it's too bright to do that. So what I'm going to do is put some more of this pink on this part of her outfit, and then I'm going to get the other brush, and I'm actually going to use the purple that I used on her top of her dress and her cape, and use it to shade with. And I'm going to come all the way over here on the left side of her outfit and put that color in, the purple. Okay. Now, here's what you do. You go from the dark to the light. You start blending, and the pink color has got to be wet to do this. If you can go from the light to the dark, but it works much better to go the other way, go from the dark. And then if I want this even darker, I can add some more and do the same thing, work out toward the light color. You don't need to wipe the brush off. Once you start going across, it'll blend. And then if you think you've got too much, then you can wipe a little off. But there you go. So, yeah. Now, when I start, Susie's always walking in, I've got a brush in my mouth. So you can see what it looks like with this. Of course, the black light's still on, and I'm unable to turn the black light off where it's located right there. Oh, Jamie, I'm experimenting with some black light paint to make the Hitchhiking Ghost for some lawn art made from birch plywood. When I'm done, I'll share the results. Terrific. Yes, remember to paint those totally in white house paint first, exterior paint. And use exterior house paints to mix with your wildfire paints. I did a lot of experimenting with the exterior painting because the wildfires, it's not basically an exterior paint, but mixing it with exterior house paints and getting all the different shades and everything and colors, it holds up quite well. And I've had Halloween displays out for years that have, after Halloween, I put them away, bring them out the next year. Larry, live from Cleveland. Ooh, new. Orlando. Okay. Now, So while I've got the regular lights on, let me do a little more right here on the bottom of the sleeve. So I can paint in both lights once I've got my colors mixed properly, but I still then have to turn off the regular lights or turn them back on to double check. So this gets very dark down here at the bottom of the sleeve, creating the volume of the shape of these blouse sleeves she has. Okay, now I'm going to blend that up into the pink I already have. And if I need to come back with a little more pink, we can do that. Now the neat thing is that once this dries, you also can dry brush with the darker shade or the lighter shade. When you dry brush, and I will do that in a little bit, I'll wait until this dries and show you how to do that. Dry brushing creates a neat effect. Now I'll put some more pink over that way. And then come over on this side. Shade in there. First on the outside, across. Let's put a little bit right there. And start blending from the dark into the light. So let's do darker, a little bit in here. All right. Now, that's a rough. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll do a little dry brushing on it. But before I stop on there, I'm going to put a little bit of highlight in some of these spots, like there. I'm putting the pink back on, and now I'm going to go to some of the white that I have and highlight that pink a little bit so that it's not just pink and purple. And take a little more pink and put some over here. Use my finger. I paint with my fingers a lot. By the time I'm done each day, I paint all over my fingers. And because of that, as I've gotten older, my fingertips will, if they get too dry, they'll crack. And you've had that happen, I'm sure. It's very painful. It's like a severe paper cut. And I discovered, I've tried all kinds of things over the years. The one thing that works is I have Vaseline, a little jar of Vaseline at the kitchen sink and our bathroom sinks. And every time I wash my hands, then I will, after I dry them, I'll take a little bit of the Vaseline, put them on my fingers and rub it on, and then I can wipe them off. But it's just enough, and it keeps my fingers from cracking. Yay, because it got really bad. Susie's dad used to get that all the time, and he couldn't figure out how to stop it. He would wear work gloves around the house and everywhere, thinking that that would keep the moisture in his hands, but it never worked. Sorry, Dad. Anyway, all right, you can see it's casting a shadow. There we go. Oh, that's ugly. Yeah, it's too much light. There we go. I'm aiming my light up at the ceiling to get it to bounce. Now, I'm going to turn the light back out there. And I'm going to do a little bit on the white. And let me see what I got. Brush wise. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now I can come up here on the white and put some pure white on, not pure white, it's acrylic white and blacklight white. Then I'm going to take actually a dark bluish purple color. It looks almost gray actually, and use that to create a little bit of dark areas in this up in the white area up here on the top of her blouse sleeves. A little bit over on this side. And I'm just letting that go on kind of rough. I'm not trying to blend it smoothly. And there you are. Okay. Now, while that's drying, let me do this so you can really see where I've painted acrylic white and let it dry on that bottom part of her sleeve. I'm going to go ahead and put the pink in there, the base color. So that'll dry. And it's over there on that side. So one of the bad things is when you're painting it, I rest my hand on the canvas a lot. And I have to watch how I'm doing it. Otherwise, I put my hand in something I've already painted. I don't know if you can see a little bit of white showing through at the bottom there. That's why I save the background colors. I can come in and touch that up afterwards. Okay. Talked about the books. I want to hear that again. Talked about Disney Fun and Games if you just joined in. Again, I'm RJ Ogren. Disney Fun and Games is a group that is a lot of fun to go on, has quite a few followers, and I am now doing, as of today, a thing called RJ's Walt Disney World Trivia. So take a look at it, see if you can guess. I ask a question about something at the Disney parks and see if you can guess where or what that item is. And then on Monday, we'll reveal what it is and I will explain it. Yeah, cool. Oh, Gail, you love the scene inside the umbrella. Yes, I know. And Larry, just got out of the Haunted Mansion and thought about you and all your great stories. I hate you. You're just got out of the Haunted Mansion? Boo. Anyway. Okay. Let's see. Well, look at that. I have my notes. I did everything. So there you are. Does anybody have any questions about this blacklight painting? And if you haven't been on before and seen those horseshoes back behind my head, actually were in the fort at Tom Sawyer's Island. We got some more horseshoes that we had, and they were actually in, there's one room you look in, and I haven't been on Tom Sawyer's Island in quite a while. I'm assuming he's still there, and there's a guy sleeping on bags of food or whatever, and all you see is him, you hear him snoring, you see his stomach and chest rise and go down. But there are horseshoes in there, and we had a whole bunch of extra ones. So I took a couple of new ones up, and well, they looked rusted, and hung them up, and took the others out, and asked if I could have them as souvenirs. This is when I left Disney, because I've been on Tom Sawyer's Island a lot. That's always fun to be on Tom Sawyer's Island when there is nobody on Tom Sawyer's Island. And we got to drive every boat I can think of, except for the big paddle wheelers and stuff. But we would take boats whenever we needed to get like the Tom Sawyer's Island. We would drive the rafts. So and that was fun the first time I tried to dock a raft there. So I'd by myself, start it up, go on over, and then tie it up, go do what I have to do, and then come back out. It was fun. Nobody around. I could play. Look at that. It's dry. It's dry. Acrylics dry within minutes. Browns dry the fastest. Whatever the ingredients are they have in there, it causes them to dry very, very fast. So when you're blending colors, you have to work very quickly. And also, like I said, you can do some dry brushing, which I'm going to do now. And I'm going to put my glasses back on. So, okay. We're going to take some of the dark purple here. And I'm going to make some areas a little darker, which is okay. There's another one. And I'll use my finger to brush it out. But to do actual dry brush, let me paint down here because that's quite dark. And if I want to come over in this area that's lighter, I just get the paint off of my brush and then brush into the lighter area. There's not much paint on there, and I can control it to get it to blend quite nicely. And some of these areas on here actually are quite dark, almost black. But I don't think I'm going to go to that because I don't think I'll need to. I'm going to paint the darker color down here. Okay. Dry brush. Most of the paint's off my brush now, so I'm dry brushing back onto the lighter shade. And I'm going to paint around the bottom of her sleeve with the purple. When you use your finger to brush something, brush it up into the colors you're painting, not downward, or you're just going to spread it, obviously, all over what you've already painted. What I'm going to do next is take the pink again and get most of that off of my brush because I'm going to dry brush a little bit right here. I know that's hard to see on the screen there. When I hit the the big time, like my friend Bob Ross did, and still does, even though he's not with us anymore, I'll have a camera crew, and one will just be a close-up of me painting. You like the one I posted earlier today? I kept having to dip my paintbrush in the paint and hold the my phone with the other and try to keep on the picture. It sort of worked. But here we go. Again. So it's a blend of using the brush and using my finger to blend and smear the paint, basically, is what I'm doing. And here we go, another area. Get the right brush. That's not the right brush. Where'd it go? Okay. Now, I'm going to get the tube acrylic white. See, Blick. Highly recommend the Studio acrylic paints from Blick. You can order them online too if you don't have a Blick near you. I'm pretty sure you can. I got to squeeze this into something here. Well, here, I'll just use a lid because I don't need much. This tube is almost empty. So I'm going to roll it up, squeeze a little bit onto that. And if those of you who are new to my painting and wondering what I am using, I am actually using they're Glad cups for putting food in. But these are great for acrylic paints, especially when you have to have a color that you're going to be using again and again. You can't keep mixing it. You can get it after a while if you keep mixing the colors, trying to match it, but it's so much easier. And I can put these lids on it, and this paint will last. I have some colors that have been in the cups for months and still are good. Again, though, some that have browns in them, even though they're covered, they'll they not only last like 3 or 4 weeks, but by then I've already used all that paint. And when I finish a painting, I will clean out the cups if I don't need that color or don't think I will. But if I have a color that I might be able to use on another painting, I will hold on to it and either alter its color a little bit on the next painting. Now I've got regular white acrylic tube paint in the lid because the fuzzy edging to her little top here, her little top, it's because I forgot what to call it, has not only got some purple in it now and a little bit of flesh tone from when I was painting the chest and neck area, that before I can put, this is going to be white, before I can put that white on there, I've got to paint it in tube acrylic white first. Again, because it would be very hard to cover. Yeah, early, I guess when I started doing haunted houses all over the United States, like the Queen Mary and Long Beach and Del Mar Racetrack haunted houses for them. But I do a lot of smaller haunted houses too. And of course, with my background at Disney and working on the Haunted Mansion, everything else, and in blacklight, I can work very quickly. And I charge some really high fees per day. And at first they'd go, what? But then they realized that if they had an artist who wasn't used to painting in blacklight or working with it, it could take them 3 months to paint something that I could paint in a matter of just a couple of days. So it actually was, for them, more cost effective to hire me. But I did come upon this woman called me, it was up in Detroit. She had a huge haunted house. It was scary. I write about it. I write about it in Design of Fear. A lot of funny stories. And it was a whole bunch of trailers that she had bought. And it was actually on the property of I think it was a Catholic school. But she had bought all these trailers, and some trailers you could go, they'd made an opening in the end so you could go one into the other. But then some of you would come outside, go down steps, go back up the other steps and back in again. And there must have been about 15 trailers. It was huge and all over the place. And frankly, I thought a little dangerous because you're in the dark a lot. It was hard to see the steps sometimes. You're in black light almost constantly when you're inside those places. But it was fun. She was a really nice lady that was doing all this and had worked out some kind of a deal with the Catholic school, which was great because the Catholic schools were making some money to help with the school and everything. So but when I came, she told me that she had a young artist that had been there for a couple months. And I says, oh, well, great. I mean, I don't mind working with somebody else. She goes, well, he's having a hard time with it. And he was like only 18 or 19, so he was quite new to it. And um, when I came in the first time I met him, he was actually painting in one of the blacklight rooms. Turned out it was the only room he'd gotten done in 2 months, and it wasn't done. And the main problem was he kept trying to paint yellows and reds on black walls in blacklight paint and just blacklight paint. And of course, the black just kept bleeding through. He couldn't figure out how to shade the blacklight paints, the colors. You can't shade with those. You have to use acrylic paints or house paints is what we're using inside the haunted houses. And you have to use those to get your different shades and different values and everything. So I showed him how to do it, and he went, wow, this would have saved a lot of time. I said, sadly, I wish I had known sooner. I could have told you. But he went on to do other haunted houses. He did quite well in Detroit. Once he figured it out, or once I showed him, saved him all that time. Okay, so I know you almost can't see that at all. See the spots on her gloves? That's where I had gotten some of the a little bit of purple or pink on her gloves, and before I could put white on them, I had to paint it out with the tube acrylics. So here, I'll just put this back in. And plus, I know her eyes are really bothering you, aren't they? Hey, Ed, Dylan, hey, nice. Oh, thank you. And oh, a good question, Ed. Did I think of this idea with Pirates and Haunted Mansion? No, I did not. And I love this idea because this is uh, a surprise painting, and that's why I have not painted the face in, because that is the face of the person that this goes to. And fortunately, she has a face that fits, and she doesn't look like this, like the girl in the actual painting, but her face and everything, um, and the shape of her face works really nice for me to put her face on this figure. If I were to paint it in and she happened to be watching, we'd be surprised. So I will not be. Actually, I'll be done with this by the end of next week, and after. So it might be a couple weeks though before the painting is delivered and everything else, before I can post where you can actually see her face. But I will show a picture of the bottom half with the leggings of the Star Wars and the crocodile down here and stuff. But anyway, no, the person that commissioned me to do this came up with these thoughts. And he said, could you put Star Wars somewhere on the umbrella? He said, either on the outside or the inside. And he didn't say which scene. I had to decide. This actually turned out to be less complicated than other scenes I was thinking about. Get too many figures in the way of the convex of the curve, it really starts creating problems of making the scene look right. So this was easier to do. And of course, it's an iconic scene. Everybody knows that from Pirates. The hair will not be the same color of the hair in the actual original painting. It'll be a different color. Excuse me. And he was the one who wanted me to do this stuff with Star Wars. And I suggested the Black Pearl ship, though, because we started talking about uh, I forgot what. We were going back and forth with on messaging, which is what I use almost constantly. If you are interested, anybody in a painting, just message me, and I'll be glad to discuss it with you and give you prices and etc. And at this point, I just picked up another commission for a wedding painting in the Magic Kingdom. Actually, they'll be in front of the castle. So that takes me in my painting queue because when people commission me, I put your painting in a queue and I paint them in sequence of when I get the commissions. And normally it's about 6 to 8, maybe 10 weeks before I get to your painting. But if you don't get in the queue and you keep waiting, then it just makes it further in the year. And so actually, that painting I will be doing the wedding thing of them in her in her wedding gown and him in his tux. Actually, will be in middle of May. I'll start painting that one and have it done by the end of May. So, okay. Oh yeah, I was painting her gloves. Come on, ask me a question, just anything. Ask me a question. No? Let's go to dark. I'm tired of having the other light on. Hi, Dylan. Hi, Rod. Oh, Rod, you're on there now. Hi, Angela. Oh, hi, Angela. How you doing? And okay, one of my followers, you have just joined, and I'm not even going to guess, you're from one of the Asian countries. It's hard to see. I love the Chinese and Japanese writing. That's beautiful. Wish I could read it. Okay. Back to putting the black light and acrylic white mix onto the glove areas. Oh, and I can show you, I can actually blend on her one arm here too. I'll go ahead and do that. But what I know, this has got to really be bothering everybody because her eyes just black holes. Here, we'll have a little fun here. Go up here and just put a little. Is that a little better? Interesting thing about painting people's eyes in portrait painting is to actually create a shadow on the upper part of the eyeball going across in some gray, and it makes the eye look more real. If I'm doing I won't be able to show you this one because it's a surprise. But if you were to look at some of my portraits and actually get a close-up of their eyes, and you can actually go on my website and see those, like the one I did of Gloria Swanson, the famous actress, or Liza Minnelli, or others. And if you don't do that, it just makes the eye look more real, even though in normal light you don't have that very distinct shadow going across the top of the eyeball. And you paint the darkness into the pupil area too at the top. So I need to check the color of the eyes for this person because that is her face going on there. I have a photograph. Do I listen to any theme music while I work? Only if it's in a movie. Actually, I was listening to Peter Pan the other day, and yesterday Beauty and the Beast, the live action. I love both, the animated and live. And that was, and I'll listen to action movies. I just had on Mission Impossible 3, and I'm getting ready to listen to Moon Over Parador, which is a very funny movie if you've never seen it. And I like to have movies on as background, and if there's a scene I really want to see, I'll stop for a second and look at the TV. Otherwise, I listen to the whole movie. And it has to be a movie I know. Of course, I listened to Les Mis the other day, too. And, of course, when there's music on, and because I'm an actor and I can sing, maybe not as well as I think I can, but I've sung in many plays. And I like to, I'll sing along. But yeah, and then those songs stick in my head for weeks afterwards. I've been singing music from Les Mis now for days. So I thought I should put La La Land on again. Of course, the thing with La La Land, I start listening to it, and then I want to watch. I want to watch everything. Love that movie. Listen to Cabaret, and of course, if you didn't know, I did a portrait of Liza Minnelli back in 1973, and it was not long after she and Joel Grey had won the Academy Awards for that movie. I love the music of that movie too. So, okay, now see the white on the acrylic white that I put around the collar of her cloak or top. Anyway, that's dry, so I can come back in now with the black light. And the great thing is this is fuzzy, so it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line. And I'll check this with regular light later. I like working in the black light. I love doing this. I love seeing the color go on. Isn't that neat? You can really see that. Um, and I'm going to get to her flesh here in a second and paint some of that on her arm. And this white doesn't have too much shading on it that's around her. The edges here, I'll put that in on a second coat. Quite often you have to do a second coat. When we moved into this house we bought here in Aurora, Illinois, we had been renting a house for 6 years. We've owned houses over the years. We owned our house in Maitland for about 20 years. We owned a house in Virginia for 10 years. Well, not quite 10. We were renting first, but then we had a really, really big historic mansion. It was cool and too big. It was way too much house just for two people. But um, I've had Halloween and Christmas displays for years that I've made. Some of you have seen the pictures of them I posted. But when we moved into this house we have now, which is the perfect size for us, and we have a smaller backyard, and it just didn't make sense to try to put a display in it in the front. So we had neighbors that were thrilled because I gave them parts of the displays. They had to get their own black lights, though. And if you're doing a haunted mansion display in black light and working, oh gosh, I didn't realize it almost an hour. Wow. If you're doing a display in black light for outside and you want to light it up in black light, you can use 4-foot long fluorescent light fixtures, double light fixtures, put two black lights in them. You just need to protect them from the weather. And what I did was I built um, uh, either tombstones or columns of stone, and the backside of them facing the house was open, and then I could insert the black lights in there, have them either hanging vertical or horizontal across, and they lit up the display beautifully. We had the only black light display around. So I didn't get to do the arm. Wait a minute. Do a little bit on her arm real quick. Let's do it on this side. This side will have shadow on it. So I'm putting the base color on first. I don't like calling it flesh color because we all have different color skin. So this is just a color of her skin. Okay, now I'm using the same flesh color that I've mixed in another cup, but I've added some burnt umber to it. And actually, this first shade I'm using, not very much, because you can see it starts to disappear some. And it's much darker on the outer edge. So I put some darker burnt umber mix out there. And clean my brush off so I can blend the lighter shade of burnt umber into the flesh, the pink flesh, that color. Um, there you go. Okay, I don't have anything else pressing unless somebody else has asked a question. Um, oh, shameless plug here, but I know of a Disney jukebox site that is really good. If you want to know, I'll send you the link. Oh, that would be fantastic. I mean, if I'm going to listen to just music, it would be Disney music. That would be. Thank you, Jamie. Please send me that link. That would be terrific. I would love it. Suzanne, my wife, and fellow writer and author in her own right, uh, is got her study upstairs, and it's got all kinds of Disney stuff in there too. And but she listens to music when she works. It's a little bit harder when you're writing, and if you wonder when we write our books together, and of course we do alternating chapters. And Suzanne is an English major, and so she is fantastic. She makes my writing look really good. Because what happens is, this is the last thing I'll tell you, is that because we are working now on our third book in the series, and I've got a bunch more neat stories to tell y'all, but I have a big leather chair in the living room. We have a leather couch, leather chair. We love it because it's real leather. It's going to last forever. But I have this big chair that's my chair to sit in, and I have a footstool, and I just kind of curl up. And actually, I'm very proud of the fact that even though I'm almost 74, which I'll be in May, I like to, I'll curl up. I'll put my leg under me and stuff. I says, geez, how many people when this will do this? They get old, they just want to sit. No, not me. I like to be able to do that. But I have a board that I actually do sketches on. So when I do sketches for your paintings, this is what I actually, a little clipboard, artboard, and I get just, 8.5 by 11 paper and do that. But when I'm writing, I use a yellow tablet and a pen, and I will take a chapter of what I'm going to write about, and it's just, I just write the whole thing, page after page, until I finish the chapter. And then Suzanne, if I'm able to, we'll sit down together at the computer and go over my chapter. And of course, she'll go, you don't need to say that. You already said that. Or, okay, that's spelled wrong. I said, I know. I've gotten much better at spelling since I've been married to her all these years. Much better. But she'll make sure I haven't got my tenses mixed up, present tense and past tense, because I sometimes will do that when I'm just writing in that stream of thought. And she's also fantastic at editing, which our publisher loves. So by the time she's done with my chapter, I look really good. And and the great thing is it hasn't changed what I said. She just cleaned it up, so it's better. And of course, then she writes her chapters, and I just read them and go, I love it. Nothing I can tell her. She knows what she's doing. Okay. A couple of last thoughts here. Yeah, Ken. Yeah, hey, Ken. Have a great weekend, everyone. Yes, everybody have a great weekend. And don't forget about RJ's Walt Disney World Trivia post each Friday on Disney Fun and Games. It's on there now. Take a look at it. And tell your friends to join in. I will be on here next Friday. Hopefully, Pam Turlo, the author of Mystical Mouse, will be on, and we'll have some more fun with the tarot cards. Last time she was on, it got to be very funny. Um, uh, Janine, oh, thank you. Absolutely stunning. Great job. Thank you. One day I hope to afford a commission piece. Well, contact me on Messenger and we can talk, and you never know. But would love to paint something for you. Jamie, thanks for entertaining for us today. Always look forward to Fridays with RJ. Have a great weekend. You too. And I'm so glad you all joined me because it's just fun. It's knowing there's people out there. And I do have a lot of fun. Everybody have a great magical weekend and a Disney weekend. And I'm going to turn out the lights and sit here and stare into the black light with my sword that glows in the black light and say goodbye. If I can ever get to the thing that